Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hope all of you heard the introductory audio, the setting the stage of the Bhagavad Gita. In this audio, we will discuss the meaning of the first 10 verses of the first chapter. Arjun Vishad Yog, lamenting the consequences of war. The Bhagavad Gita, or the Song of God as we all know, it was revealed by Lord Krishna to Arjun on the threshold of the epic war of Mahabharata. A decisive battle between the two sets of cousins, that is the Kauravas and Pandavas, was just going to commence on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. A detailed account of the reasons that led to this war we saw in the introductory audio. The Bhagavad Gita is primarily, as we all know, a conversation between Lord Shri Krishna and Arjun. The first chapter begins with a dialogue between King Dhritarashtra and his minister Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra, being blind, could not leave his palace in Hastinapur, but was eager to know the ongoings of the battlefield. So we start with the battlefield, Kurukshetra. You can use your imagination and think about the armies which are standing there and the blind king Dhritarashtra. He is there in the palace along with his minister, personal counsel and friend Sanjaya. Sanjaya was a disciple of sage Vedavyasa, the author of the epic Mahabharata and several other Hindu scriptures. Sage Vedavyasa, he possessed a mystic ability to see and hear events occurring in distant places. He therefore bestowed upon Sanjaya as well this miraculous power of distant vision. Therefore Sanjaya could see and hear what transpired on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and gave a first-hand account to King Dhritarashtra while still being in his palace. Let us now look at the meaning of the first verse. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samavetayuyutsavah Mamakav Pandavarshchaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after gathering on the holy field of Kurukshetra and desiring to fight, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? The two armies had gathered on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. They were well prepared to fight a war that was inevitable. Still in this verse, King Dhritarashtra asked Sanjaya, his personal counsel, what his sons and his brother Pandu's sons were doing on the battlefield. It was apparent that they were going to fight. Then why did he ask such a question? The blind king Dhritarashtra's fondness for his own sons had clouded his spiritual wisdom and deviated him from the path of virtue. He had taken the kingdom of Hastinapur from the rightful heirs, the Pandavas, sons of his brother Pandu. Feeling guilty of the injustice he had done towards his nephews, his conscience worried him about the outcome of this battle. The words Dharmakshetre, the land of Dharma, virtuous conduct, used by Dhritarashtra, depicts the dilemma he was experiencing. Dhritarashtra feared that the holy land might influence the minds of his sons. If it aroused the faculty of discrimination, then they may not fight and may negotiate in the process. A peaceful settlement will mean that the Pandavas would continue being a hindrance for them. He felt great displeasure at these possibilities. Instead, he wanted the war to happen. He was uncertain of the consequences of the war, yet he wanted to determine the fate of his sons. Therefore, he asked Sanjaya about the activities of the two armies on the battleground. We will now look at the meaning of the second verse. Sanjaya uvacha Drishtva tu Pandavanekam Vyudham Duryodhanastada Acharya Mupasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit. Sanjaya said, Sanjaya uvacha Drishtva, on observing the Pandavas' army standing in military formation, King Duryodhana approached his teacher Dronacharya and said the following words. So Sanjaya understood Dhritarashtra's concern, who wanted an assurance to know what is happening in the battlefield. Sanjaya tried to reduce his worry by informing that the Pandavas' army was standing in a military formation ready for the battle. Then he moved on to tell him what his son Duryodhan was doing on the battlefield. As King Dhritarashtra was blind, his eldest son Duryodhan virtually ruled the kingdom of Hastinapur. In the Mahabharata, he is described as a very rude, egoistic, evil, and cruel by nature. Since his childhood, he had a strong dislike for the Pandavas and left no opportunity to demean them. He was aware that to rule over the entire kingdom of Hastinapur, unchallenged, he need to eliminate them. However, standing on the battlefield, when he saw the large Pandava army, he was baffled. He had underestimated the Pandavas. The extent of military might they had gathered was way beyond his expectation. Duryodhana approached his guru Dronacharya with the pretense of offering respect, but his actual purpose was to reduce his own nervousness. His move towards his guru also reveals that the mammoth military formation of the Pandava army nerved him, and he was now fearful of the outcome of this war. The next 9 verses are spoken by Duryodhan. We will now see the meaning of Shloka 3.
Pashyaitam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata.
Pashyai means behold. Panduputranam, that is the sons of Pandu. Acharya, the respected teacher. Mahatim Chamum, which is the mighty army. Vyudham, it means an array of military formation. Drupada Putrena, sons of Drupad. Drishtadyumna. Dhimata means intelligent. So Duryodhan said, respected teacher, behold the mighty army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arrayed for battle by your own gifted disciple, the son of Drupad. In this verse, Duryodhana is asking Dronacharya to look at how skillfully the military formation of the Pandava army is, and being led by Commander-in-Chief Drishtadyumna, King Drupad's son. He was also one of Dronacharya's student. Actually, Duryodhan was reminding his teacher of a mistake he had committed in the past. Many years back, Dronacharya along with the Pandavas had defeated King Drupad in a battle and took away half his kingdom. To avenge his defeat, Drupad performed a sacrifice to beget a son. Drishtadyumna was born out of that sacrificial fire with the boon that he would kill Dronacharya in the future. Even though Dronacharya was aware of this, when he was approached for Drishtadyumna's military training, he very humbly accepted and imparted all his knowledge impartially to him. So here, Duryodhan is reminding Dronacharya that even though Drishtadyumna was his student, he was also Drupad's son with a boon to kill him. So he wanted to ensure that, as in the past, Dronacharya should not become lenient towards his student now that they were on the battlefield. Now we will see the meaning of verses 4, 5 and 6.
Atra Shura Maheshwasa Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yuyudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharathaha Drishtaketushchikitanaha Kashirajascha Viryavan Purjit Kunti Bhojascha Shaibhyascha Narapungavaha Yuddhamanyuscha Vikranta Uttamaujascha Viryavan Saubhadro Draupadiyascha Sarvaiva Maharathaha.
Atra means here. Shura, powerful warriors. Maheshwasa, great bowmen. Bhimarjuna Sama, equal to Bhim and Arjun. Yudhi, in military prowess. Maharathaha, warriors who could single-handedly match the strength of 10,000 ordinary warriors. In the fifth verse, Drishtaketusche Ketinaha Kashirajascha. Drishtaketu, Chekitan, Kashiraj, Narapungavaha, best of men. Vikrantaha, courageous. Saubhadraha, the son of Shubhadra. Draupadyeyascha, the sons of Draupadi. Maharathaha, warriors who could single-handedly match the strength of 10,000 ordinary warriors. This verse talks about many powerful warriors like Yudhan, Virat and Drupad, wielding mighty bows and equal in military prowess to Bhima and Arjun. There are also various other accomplished heroes like Drishtaketu, Chekitan, the gallant king of Kashi, Purujit, Kunti Bhoj and Shaibya, all the best of men. In their ranks, they also have the courageous Yuddhamanyu, the gallant Uttamauja, the son of Shubhadra, and the sons of Draupadi, who are all great chiefs. Since Duryodhan was very anxious, the Pandava army seemed to be very big for him. He never expected his opponents that they would mobilize such huge army. Because of his fear, he starts enumerating the names of all the warriors who were singly equivalent in strength to 10,000 ordinary warriors. All of them gathered on the Pandava side. They were all exceptional heroes and great military commanders, equivalent in valor to his cousins Arjun and Bhim.
अस्माकं तु विशिष्टाये तान्निबोध द्विजोत्तम नायका मम सैन्यस्य संज्ञार्थं तान् ब्रवीमि ते.
Asmakam means ours. Vishishta, special. Dvijottama, best of Brahmins. Nibodha, be informed. Nayaka, principal generals. Sainyasya, of the army. Sangyartham, for your information. Bravimi, I recount and I am recollecting. Te, unto you. So what is Duryodhan telling in this verse? Dronacharya was a teacher of military science and not really a warrior. However, he was on the battlefield as one of the commanders of the Kaurava army. So Duryodhan even doubted the loyalty of his own teacher. Here he cunningly addresses his own teacher as Dvijottama, best among the twice born or Brahmins. He was reminding Dronacharya, if he did not display his valor in this battlefield, he would be considered a lowly Brahmin who was only interested in the fine food and lavish lifestyle at the king's palace. So, to cover up his vicious words and boost his teachers and his own morale, Duryodhan starts naming all the great generals present on the Kaurava side, describing their valor and military expertise.
भवान् भीष्मश्च कर्णश्च कृपश्च समितिञ्जयः अश्वत्थामा विकर्णश्च सौमदत्तिस्तथैव च.
In this verse, he continues to talk about the names of the personalities. He says, there are personalities like yourself, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna and Bhurishrava, who are ever victorious in battle.
अन्ये च बहवः शूरा मदर्थे त्यक्तजीविताः नानाशस्त्रप्रहरणाः सर्वे युद्धविशारदाः.
Duryodhan in this verse, he continues to boast about himself and about the heroic warriors that he has. He says, there are many other heroic warriors who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. They are all skilled in the art of warfare and equipped with various kinds of weapons.
अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं त्विदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितम्.
Aparyaptam means unlimited. Asmakam, ours. Balam is strength. Bhishma, because of presence of Bhishma. Abhirakshitam, safely we can move forward. So he's saying in this verse that the strength of our army is unlimited and we are safely marshaled by Bhishma, while the strength of the Pandava army is marshaled by Bhim, and that is limited. The army marshaled by Bhishma is unlimited, while the Pandava army marshaled by Bhim is limited. So what are we talking about here in this verse? The commander-in-chief of the Kaurava army was Bhishma. Apart from being an exceptional warrior, he had an extraordinary boon. He could choose the time of his death. This meant he was practically invincible. Duryodhan felt that under Bhishma's command, their army was undefeatable, whereas the Pandava army was secured by Duryodhan's sworn enemy Bhima. Hence, he started comparing his grandfather Bhishma's strength with his cousin Bhima. However, both Kauravas and Pandavas were Bhishma's grandchildren, and as the oldest living member of the Kuru dynasty of the Kuru family, he was concerned about their welfare. He was compassionate towards the Pandavas, but was bound by his ethical commitment towards the throne of Hastinapur and his subjects. Therefore, half-heartedly he led the Kaurava army against them. Bhishma was also aware that in this holy war, along with all the great warriors of the world, the supreme Lord Krishna himself was present. Lord Krishna was with the Pandavas, which meant Dharma was on their side, and no power in the entire universe could make the side of Adharma win. Since he had vowed to protect the kingdom of Hastinapur and its subjects and to fulfill his responsibility towards them, Bhishma led the Kaurava army, even though he was aware of their wrongdoings. This decision of Bhishma actually shows the strength of his character and personality. So with this, we complete the meaning of the first 10 verses of chapter 1. Periva Sharanam.